back, we've assigned an owner to each one, and they'll record the answers, and we will sanitize the list, but we will share the list, okay? But it will be sanitized because there's 10 questions about, BO best of one. We're not going to list all 10. We're just going to say best of one. All right, so I'll save that one for later. Yeah, you're going to love this one, Colin. Okay. All right. Our teams that registered and paid for Worlds and then dropped out refunded. If not, why do the replacements team have such a short time to pay? So yes, we do refund the teams that drop out. We do have a date. We extended it significantly last year. It was one of the decisions I made. Obviously, if they drop out the week before, we do not refund. And the reason we ask the replacement teams to pay right away is because if you're not going to pay, then we have the next team on the wait list. Because we have very long wait lists, so we want to know that you're serious about coming. So yes, we refund. So it's not like we're double dipping. We need you guys to pay, because if you're not going to, then we're going to get a team there that does. I'd like to offer a suggestion for the VexIQ program. In the VexIQ finals, could it be a best of two? I'm not going to read what they wrote, but they're actually, they go through twice and have the highest score of 2, because there's a lot of pressure on these kids the first time. This is actually something, I've only been around a year, but I know it's something that's actually discussed every year. So far, we have not proceeded with implementing that, but that doesn't mean that we won't. There's a lot of pros of doing that. I will recognize that there's a lot of pros. It doesn't add a lot of time in VexIQ. Right now, we haven't made the decision to do that, but that is not a bad idea, and it's not a dead idea. So that's something we will continue to evaluate every year. All right, this is an interesting one. We could not advertise for the Girl Powered event because our school district used the girl-only event as discriminatory. Well, there was a lot of girl-powered events that weren't just girls. Matter of fact, at Vex Worlds, we did invite young men to attend too. So if your school, if you choose to have a girl-powered, girl-only event at Girl-Powered, that's your choice. If you want to have a girl-powered event but your school or your organization says it can't be girls only, invite young men also. Remember, the Girl Powered Initiative is equal representation in our program. Our Girl Powered grants aren't for just girls' teams. It has to be at least 50% girls, but it's not only for girls' teams. So if that's an obstacle that you're facing, then have your Girl Powered event be girls and guys. This is obviously from the same person, I can tell by their writing. Separating girls out to have them work on STEM teaches that they cannot do STEM in an environment where there are males. And this is from a female coach. So to me, this is actually a lot of the objections we get from men in our organization too. They're like, the girls are going to have to learn to work with the guys anyway, so they just got to suck it up and do it. Well, we have data that shows that we only have 25%, well, we were at 23%, we're up to 29% of people in our program. So to me, that means we need to try something different, to be honest. And I think the results of Girl Powered Initiative have been pretty good. And again, I want to reiterate, I'm not trying to be argumentative here, but I want to reiterate that our program isn't just for girls. Matter of fact, we encourage young men to take the pledge. We encourage the Girl Powered grant teams to be young women and young men so that they work together. So we have, I coach robotics, Paul coaches robotics. I don't think people want to see me on camera on this. But anyway, we agree that women and men do need to work together in this environment. We think the program encourages that. So I'm going to not say much more on that one. What is a typical season-to-season team retention rate for VRC and for VexIQ? This isn't exact, but I would say it's between 85% and 90%. I think it's probably closer to 90%. I know we had 20,000 teams in the program. I know how many teams didn't come back. So I'm going to safely say it's between 85% and 90%. That's our retention rate. And do I want to hire? I stand by what I said earlier. If we added one new team next year and kept every single team that was in the program, I would consider that a success. So that is going to be one of our strategic initiatives, which, by the way, we're working on our strategic plan again tomorrow, so I hope to get that published in August. Event registration fees. I understand that every organization is different, but can we have the option to carry a cash balance and roll out events and use this to pay for events? And then they put some reasons why they want to do that. Right now, our system is not set up to do that. Brad's back there. I've had 5 or 6 people, and I said, I'm not afraid to hold your money. I answered a similar question earlier. I'm not afraid to hold your money. We're just not set up for this right now, but I will add this to the list. It's not going to be above the line at least in 1 year, but it's something long-term that we can consider doing. Will we see any additional targeted diversity and inclusion initiatives in the wake of Girl Power? The answer is yes. I don't know what it will be, but we've already investigated some of them. We've actually had, for example, Native American troops have approached us about initiatives, inner city schools. So right now we need to focus on Girl Power and get that one solid footing and continue to advance that one. But absolutely, that will not be our last inclusive and diversity initiative. Would it be possible to divide the country into regions and have a signature event in each region? I know a lot of people think with me promoting these events that that's what I'm trying to get to. There's no intent in my point to get to that. And there's going to be some states like Texas, Indiana, California that are so big that they are, in a sense, their own region. But I do think the signature events are very important to our program, and there could become a time, and this is not saying it could happen, it could be a time that maybe 5 or 6 states that are geographically close to each other end up being a region, and that's their qualifying. But right now, we really like the model where every state has a state champion. We really think that's cool that all 50 states are at Vex Worlds, that they all have their state championship banners and stuff like that. But as it gets, say our program grows to 30,000 teams next year, it's going to be possible to have everybody be represented at Vex Worlds, maybe regionals is the next step. So I don't ever want to say never, but right now we do like the state championship model. I love this one. Can you create a video that references the code of conduct to show at the beginning of the events? The answer is yes, and we already put it on our to-do list along with the banners that you guys asked about. So what's the due date? It all depends on resources, but I think this is a great idea. Yes? I will say yes, because we want to be inclusive, and we have some great initiatives that started. I announced them at Vex Worlds. Some initiatives with the School of the Deaf and the Blind, and it started in Alabama, and it's quickly expanding outside of there. So if we're going to do it, we should be inclusive. Can we extend the number of days for IQ Worlds and/or shorten the competition day? Elementary kids crash with the long competition days. We actually had this up last year. We actually did a very extensive survey on that, and the overwhelming data was that you preferred to keep it the same way. Frankly, from an organizational standpoint, from us, our staff is really on fumes by the end there, and there's a cost thing too, but we probably still would have proceeded. But the data that we got back from Vex IQ coaches was overwhelmingly that they would rather the kids have a little bit longer day and keep it at the same 2-day event. So I'm going to say no to that. Again, as the program evolves, that may change. I'd also like to say that we can look at things, and I've asked Brad about this before, right? We looked at shortening by a match. And again, the overwhelming response is they spent a lot of money to get the Vex Worlds, and you wanted to keep the same number of matches. Because clearly, if we shortened it by a match, that would shorten the days also. So this is something that we actively did look at it, and the overwhelming data is the way we have it now is the preferred method. So again, keep asking, and as we get more data points in the future, we'll continue to evaluate. All right, hey, this is my very favorite question of the entire 2 days. How can I get a job with the REC Foundation? All right. So seriously, we do have job openings right now, and you can send me a resume, but if you're an EP, Paul will kill me. He doesn't want me to hire any more event partners. He says, why are you taking your best and brightest people that are out there growing the program for you and making them staff? So So Paul, I respect you on that, but also we do have a couple job openings. If this is something you have a passion about and it's not going to be a detriment to the program elsewhere, please send me your resume. Based on the Excellence Award changes, would winning excellence at a signature event enable the team to be eligible for excellence at Worlds? Is Tarek here?
Yes.
We had this happen. I actually remember I was in Pittsburgh when this came up because we said no and I overruled it. So absolutely, if you win the Excellent Award at a signature event, you are eligible for the Excellent Award at Worlds. And that's a CEO decision, whether my staff disagrees or not. My feeling on that one is that if you went to an event thinking that you are eligible for Worlds and you win an event or an award that's in a Worlds event, and in your mind you think you qualified. It's a common sense decision for me. So the answer is absolutely yes. Open registration, 9 to 12 weeks. So for the fee, you hold your repayment to the EPs until 1 month out. So you guys are trying to give me solutions for the issue that we talked about earlier today. So I do have some follow-up. So is Tony here? I want Tony to go hide. So we did look at the data. And so this year we had $170,000 in revenue that came from the $5 fee. We actually had $130,000 in credit card processing fees, but what best we can tell, about 70 to 80,000 of that was processing fees for the actual transactions for events. So a lot of people pay their registration fees or Vex Worlds registration fees. So we think about 80,000. So 170,000 minus 80,000 is $90,000 in additional revenue that we got to help us do improvements to tournament manager, robot events, etc. So that's real revenue that helps us sustain the program. So therefore, the idea of just only charging the $5 fee to teams that register through robot events will cause us financial hardship, so it's not something I can agree to. What we will do is the second idea that was presented is maybe so it's the proposal that we put together when we said you pay for all the teams. What we'll do is we'll do half of them up front, right? So if it's a 40-team event and 20 teams have paid, or say 10 teams have paid, we'll charge up front for 20, and then at the end of the event, after the event's over, we'll do the other 20. So that will address the cash flow concerns that the smaller event partners had, but it also will eliminate, which we all agreed, eliminating the invoicing is good for both REC Foundation and good for the event partners. So that compromise, I think, addresses, it makes my accounting staff really happy. Victoria, are you happy? Yeah, she's very happy. We're getting rid of it. So that's Victoria. I told you she was going to be here at some point. So Victoria Wade, she's our accounting manager. So, and Melinda, who's standing next to her, when you call and complain, it's Melinda that's answering the phone. She's a very pleasant person. So. But anyway, so I think that's a good compromise. That means we're not sending invoices every month, but we're allowing you guys to get some money up front, and then we can reconcile everything at the end. So by a nod of heads, does that seem like a pretty good compromise? Very good. Thank you, guys. That was a good topic. Are you not seeing an increase in events for this year from your RSMs? Could you just implement an early bird policy for regions that are not increasing events for this year? So we are seeing an increase in events, but as I said, both days now, the team growth is exceeding the event growth. I'm going to take it to heart about early bird for places that need it. But as I asked you earlier today, give us a year with the early bird registration. I realize in states like Minnesota, they don't need early bird registration. There's plenty of events. But I think it would be too difficult because the IT guys are to roll out the software. So I think it would be too difficult at this stage to just pick the states that we do it. Plus, frankly, I think it would create some hard feelings. So let's this first year just do the testing across all the program, and then we'll evaluate it again. And if it turns out it's really a regional specific thing or it causes undue hardships, then we'll modify it at that time. So have a little bit of faith in me that we'll try to do this the right way. But yes, again, We love our team growth. We need the event partner growth, and all the things we've talked about is how we're going to try to support you guys to be able to do more tournaments. Does early bird apply signature events? Does early bird apply to signature events or when a team competes outside of their state? I know for signature events, early bird does not apply. Outside of the state, it would apply. That's what I wrote to, so I guess right. Outside of the state, it would, because again, if you played 4 times and you have a team in, what state haven't I picked on today? Montana, and Montana doesn't get to play because a team from South Dakota came in and knocked them out. So it does need to apply to outside of state, but for signature events, no. Signature events are these glamorous events that kind of stand on their own. So. Oh, another one. Does early bird registration apply to signature events? We said no. So VRC Alliance selection, recommendation, only half of the teams will compete in eliminations. So if you have 24 teams, you have 6 alliances, 32, we have 8, 48 was 12. Jim, we have some guidelines on what we're asking them to do there, right? Okay, 8, 12, or 16 is up to you, but 6 doesn't work, so it needs to be 8, 12, or 16. But you have the flexibility within that range. There needs to be a code of conduct for event partners who do not follow the rules of the game and judge advisors who do not follow the rules of the judging a guide. I actually wrote on the bottom of this, I agree, and I think we should do that for 2020. We might not call it a code of conduct, maybe we'll call it something a little more politically correct. But I agree with that, and believe me, as someone, I told you how many nasty emails I get in a week. A lot of them are because they felt that the judge advisors were biased. So Tarek's giving me thumbs up, so he agrees. So that's a great suggestion, and we will add that to our list. I'm pretty easy, aren't I? Just don't ask me about skills. Plate swapping. Can an event partner implement a photo process has been done at Worlds? So somebody answered that earlier today, right? I think it was Brad. We are looking at how to do this. I think Brad said we're going to start small. But we do understand the power of pictures and how that could support both like driver swapping and plate swapping. It's actually a pretty difficult development. So we had a lot of like voodoo code in order to make it work at Worlds, so we have to do it right. But this is something that's in process, so we agree with that. What are you doing to handle unexpected growth and number of teams in an area? Yeah, that's a great question. I am going to ask you to get in contact with your regional support manager, who will also with the Doro. We talked about my vision earlier of the regional support managers doing less direct event support, and that's why we've created the ESS, Event Support Specialist. I got it down now. So that the regional support managers can be more strategic in their support of you. And I happen to know that Jim, Mike, and Tarek will do whatever they can to help you accommodate your unexpected growth. And we have some states that are going to double this year. I mean, Alabama's going to double. Pennsylvania's going to have some huge growth. Indiana continues to grow at a phenomenal rate. So, and I know the Indiana guys have bent my ear the last couple of days. So I know we have some challenges there to accommodate the team growth. So I ask you to first reach out to your regional support manager, who will bring in their manager. And I do have an open door policy. If you send me an email, I used to lie and say I responded within 24 hours. I don't do 24 anymore, but I do respond. Sometimes it takes me 2 or 3 days. But that is the job of the regional support manager, to support you in these type of challenges. What if RAC creates a general event meeting video that could be shown at all events and all participant reviews the same information? We actually agree and are working on it. I don't want to pick on Paul, but we actually had this initiative last year too, and we tabled it so that we could put our resources on V5 videos and stuff like that. That was the higher priority. But we have a strategic, when I talk about our strategic plan, we have a strategic plan that everything we talk about, we have a video for too. That is one way we'll be able to support the growth of the organization without having to hire infinite number of more people. So I can tell you that I'm not promising for even a year from now, but at some point, everything that we talk about, everything we teach you, how to register a team, how to set up an event, we will have videos for, and that includes the general event meeting topics. So I know some of the event partners have come up to me and say you already do these videos. If they're good, and that's judgmental, I know, but if you think your video is something that can be used by the rest of the community, please send it to us and we'll evaluate it and we'll see if we can roll it out. It would be super awesome if the REC Foundation made an event meeting video. I think we just had that one. So yes, we agree and we're working on it. Okay. Is it possible to provide the event partners the training materials used by the REC Foundation at the district grant teacher trainings? I will discuss this one. My inclination is to say yes, but at some point you have to protect your IP too. I'll be honest with you. So that's something we put a lot of effort in, and it's something that we're using to grow the program. And there are frankly, other organizations out there that try to do similar training. So I need to discuss that with my management team and also the teacher training team, because it is something we've invested a lot of effort into, and I'm not sure I really want to give it out for free. I'm just being honest with you guys. Why only $5? Seems insulting to you all. If your budget is an issue, then this seems like a quick fix. So they're willing to give $10, and all I can say, and I wrote it down and said, I love you. But I think I said it earlier, we have a bell curve, and in this room right now is we're at the far right of the bell curve. We have some people, but we have the stronger event partners that have the stronger programs. And like we said when we talked about best of one, like we said when we talked about skills, it's my job as CEO and chairman of the board to look out for the middle 80%. So while a lot of you guys can afford the extra $5, there's a lot of people that can't. So we have to be real careful about that. And $5 allows us to achieve what we need to. And then there was, and I'm not going to single them out, but I'd love to. He says that they can afford to do more, and they've requested that we have like a gift giving. So where it's $5, they're going to do 10. We don't have the software ready for that, but I think that's a great idea. So if you're having a very lucrative event, say the Minnesota State Championship that always does so well, and they have a little bit of money to give to the REC Foundation to help the other tournaments, we're going to give you that opportunity. So thanks, Andrew. Thanks, Aaron. I appreciate that you're going to donate to us. Here, Paul, this is one for you. Where will World Champs Fields mount the field monitor? The blue corner? Yes. Grant says yes. So it'll mount in the corner. Is it too late to have a signature event for 2018-2019 season? I've had a lot of you come up to me and love the idea of signature events, which I'm glad. It means you have the passion of bringing the excitement of Vex Worlds down to the next level. I think we all share that vision. It makes me really, really happy. We only allocated, 5 for this year, and I've had at least 5 people come up to me with proposals. So we haven't selected all 5. So the answer is technically yes, but you're going to need to move quick. And the process of that is to give the application to your regional support manager, who elevates it to his supervisor, and then it eventually gets to me and my management team. So it's not too late, but you need to move really, really fast. And by the way, I committed to go to the Kalahari Classic today, so if you guys want to see a really cool signature event, I'm recruiting for them. So you guys going to comp my hotel room? So, done, yeah. So, how can we as EPs get our students more exposure to industry and our college scholarships? So Christina, where are you? There's Christina. Christina is our HR manager. She is also our scholarship program coordinator. Christina, in your review, did we give you a very strong goal to grow our scholarship program and answer this exact question?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have an initiative to do that. It's interesting because there's a program that we talked to, and they said, well, we really like the REC Foundation, the Vex Robotics program, but we're going to use a competitive program because they offer scholarships and you don't. And I'm like, we offered the exact same scholarships. And I had to prove it to them, but they're like, well, it wasn't readily accessible on your website. So we know that, and Christina has the initiative to improve that this year. So eventually everything will have a video, but again, that's a long-term development. How do engineering notebooks translate into what students will use in future jobs? Are engineering books still used, or more industries working in CAD exclusively? Paul, would you like to answer that one? Okay. Paul's engineering group all walks around with an engineering notebook. So the program that you're using, that we're administrating, all his engineers have an engineering notebook. I do think I talked about this one on Tuesday, the history of the engineering notebook. If you've noticed, Paul and I have a lot of banter. He and I have been working together for 20 years. We both started at FANUC. And we, as I explained, one of the first things they did is dropped an engineering notebook on your desk, and you carried it around with you. The other thing they did, as a sidebar, since I'm going really fast, is I pulled out a ballpoint pen, and my manager took it and threw it across the room, and he says, "Engineers write in pencil." So, we started our careers. We're a big believer, and VEX engineers use it now. I carry a notebook with me. It's in my bag right now. Just because I'm getting older, it's a smaller notebook, but I carry one around. I do know, and like I said yesterday, and the camera wasn't rolling, but as I said yesterday, at some point, Google or somebody, or Microsoft will give us a lot of money, and they'll give us an opportunity to do an online notebook. I know it's coming eventually, but right now we feel that the engineering notebook, the hardbound engineering notebook, is the way to best promote the design process, to get those kids to really sit down, open it up, and write their ideas out. And we get so many questions, why not the loose? Well, we allow you to enter an engineering notebook that's not bound, right? Matter of fact, I was judge advisor at 2 events. At one of them, the bound notebook won, and at the other one, the loose leaf one won. So it's not saying you can't win the design award, but we want to encourage that creative behavior, the writing down what you're thinking and following up on it. Not that you go back to your computer that night or the next week and you type up the best solution of what you thought. We want to capture what you're doing in the moment. So we're big believers in the notebooks. Paul, do you have anything to add to that? Wow. Do we have that recorded? He agrees 100%. So how can students apply for internships at the RIC Foundation? We bring a lot of interns. Who's my interns that are here right now? Maddie Austin, she's a marketing intern back there. I know we have a few more that are here that are floating around and helping. Benjamin's there. Matt's the guy that's been recording all this stuff. He's been working really, really hard. I'm sure Shay's here too. So just in our office this summer, we have 4 interns, and we have interns scattered throughout the country. So if you have very talented students that would like an opportunity to work for the RIC Foundation, please have them contact their regional support manager. And as Paul explained earlier, every single intern that Paul has comes from one of the robotics programs. 100%, those are the kids we hire. So please send us your best and brightest, and hopefully they will become future staff members of either one of our companies.
What age range?
What's that?
What age range?
I know for us, we have high school through college interns. So I would probably not go any lower than 16 because I want them to be able to drive. Paul, what do you guys? What's your range?
It depends. So a lot of our high school interns are local, so they don't need to have housing requirements. We have one exception to that. So if they're coming from around the country, we prefer 18 or older because they'll be staying in housing on their own. And so high school interns are mostly local, unless you provide housing for them, we won't do it. But yeah, that's mostly from traveling around the world at 18 or older.
Okay, so you guys want me to keep going? All right. State-specific grants. Have an option for EPs to donate extra money from their fees to go, we already talked about this, yeah. So again, I think this is a great idea, and we will absolutely add this to our task list. So Brad, this is going to show up on your to-do list. So again, and all making fun of Minnesota and other people, but for those of you that really want to donate to our cause to help the other states, we really appreciate that. That is a fundraising opportunity we've honestly never pursued before. And even if it's only $10,000 that we get, that $10,000 can go to help build programs in states that can't afford that. So we have a duty to implement this suggestion because you guys are being generous with your money. So thank you. Have you ever considered making additional referee videos that play out at a match scenario where a rule is broken? Then after the video, a question can be asked on screen. That's actually, I'll be honest with you, it's a great idea. I can see it being hard to implement, right? Because now you got to queue up the videos and stuff like that. But from a pure spectator thing, that would be really good. So you have a violation of this rule, and you play the video that explains this rule, and then you can say why you broke it. So I love the idea, but the practical side of me says that put another burden on the event partners, right? Because now you have to have those queued up, and remember, we're on a tight cycle as it is. So I'm going to add this to the list, but I'm just practically, this might be one where we send up and ask for follow-up, but practically, even if we could have the funding to pull it off, I think the event partners yourselves would have to see, do you have the bandwidth to support like this? But I love the idea. Oh, yes, sir? Okay. Excellent. Yeah, that's true. I think Brad would probably agree with that. But again, it's a pretty significant development for us, but I do love the idea. So that's good that you're taking one of my arguments away, right? You're making it easier. But that person that's running Tournament Manager, they have to be able to quickly manipulate and get to those screens. But again, I love the idea. We're definitely going to add it to the list. Yes, sir. Referee training videos are something completely different. We actually already do referee training videos. They are led by Grant, actually, and they are due on August 31st.
I think you may have misinterpreted the question slightly. If the person who asked it was talking about like extending the rep training videos to be more, rather than saying, here's the rule, here's an example, actually show a match and show what happened. I like that idea a lot. We are going to be filming next week, and so that was one of the things was I wanted to like get input from this session and see if we can implement some of it. I'm not going to guarantee that that'll make it into this year, but I will say that one of the strongest points of feedback that I got from a lot of people in the past was that the rep training videos did not go enough into the gray area, right? They gave simple examples, they talked at high level, but they didn't explain where the fuzzy edges were very well. So that's something that we've taken another look at this year to try and improve. So we are working to improve and explain where some of those situations lie. I like the example match idea. I can't, kind of like Dan has said, can't guarantee it'll be there for this year, but I like it a lot. We'll look at it implementing in the future.
Is there a way to include videos in the Q&A question?
The question was, is there a way to include video snippets in the Q&A questions? Not in the current system, other than linking to a YouTube video, but my feature list for the new Q&A system is so long already, and that's definitely on there. Yeah.
Okay. Create a code of conduct banner PDF in various sizes and allow event partners to print at local printers or to purchase through the REC. I think we agreed to this yesterday. So Vicki, this is going to go on your list. I really think this is important. You guys have embraced the code of conduct, so we are not going to sell them. We'll give you the PDFs and let you guys print them out yourself. But we'll definitely provide that. Just as we talked about yesterday, Brad is going to make sure that you can display the code of conduct through Tournament Manager also. So I see you guys talking back there, so I'm signing you up for work. Could a video be made from the REC by CEO Dan that welcomes people, introduces REC, and covers the code of conduct for EPs? So my staff has actually asked me to do this, Shelley. from Tennessee, Arkansas, Mississippi, and I'm sure I'm forgetting states, but she has been asking me to do that. It's on our to-do list. I'm just never in the office to do it. But I think it's a great idea for us to have an introduction video at the beginning. And it's probably not just going to get me. I'll probably try to get people that are more eloquent and better looking, but we will do some type of introduction video to introduce our organization. It goes back to our branding, where everybody thinks that we're VEX and we're the REC Foundation. So I think this is a fantastic idea, and it's definitely on the list. Thoughts, banner, video recording, we already talked about that. Thoughts and skills, we talked about that today. And Teletech with V5. Okay, we already answered that to the individual. So, this is a good one. I like this one a lot. So with event partner grants, if a team is struggling to buy a field so that teams can practice on, if they're willing to host an extra event and apply for the grant, can they give the field to them? So, okay, this is a tricky one, right? So the EP grant is for the event partner to host additional tournaments. That's pretty clear. And it's for year one and beyond. But after you hosted your tournaments, if you're a generous EP and you wanted to give it to said school so that they can use it to practice with, who am I to say that it's bad to be generous? So the key, though, is that you do use the field for your events and you use it for year two, but I have no problem with you giving it to that school so that they have a thing to practice. So this actually falls into the don't ask, don't tell policy. This is a really good one. I'm glad we got to this one. The only concern I have regarding moving STEM projects to video submission, that there's no way to be sure the students actually did the project and not someone's highly competitive parent who did the project, produced the script, practiced with the student, and put the student in front of the cameras. Well, actually, we have the similar thing now. A parent could do all the work and train the kids, but what I think you're really asking, and I hate if I'm interpreting wrong, but you're saying we missed the Q&A part of it. Right? So pretty much the STEM research, it's still recording it, you're still going to see the kids, and the amount of work that the kids do versus the coaches do could be the same in either, but you do lose the Q&A. We are well aware of that when we went to this. The two areas that I was most popular this year when I went to all these events was when I said we were going to have online forms. You guys love the fact that you're going to have to take paper. And the other one is when I said we were going to make STEM research project optional for excellence, because it is such a burden for so many of the events. And this goes back to the bell curve, right? There are great events out there that get plenty of volunteers and they can easily add for the STEM research judging. But we heard that the middle 80%, they're having trouble getting judges and referees as it is. And now for this one, it was taking up a lot of time. And frankly, we had many, many events that couldn't give out trophies because they were waiting for STEM research to be done. So the event was over, design was over, and they were waiting for STEM research. So while I honestly agree that not having the Q&A takes something away, having it as a video submission is the best way to move our program forward. Yes, we went back and forth on that, and I'll admit that I was going to give the option for both, but because we're saying at the state level it needs to be video, and then the video qualifies for the World Championship level, we're saying that it needs to be video the whole way through. I think that's already done, right, Tarek? How to submit the videos are. Oh, she asked what's the best way to submit the video.
Via YouTube and get the information to the EP.
But it's in the judge's manual,
It's in
right?
the judge's manual, and on Worlds it's through the award committee.
Yeah, so it's in the judge's manual. All right. So it is 8 o'clock. Yeah, so do you guys, what's that? So we have some gifts to give away. I probably have another 40 questions. I know a lot of you said you have flights out early. Do you want us just to continue to answer the rest of these questions and post them on the forums? Yeah, you guys are saying kill it. Okay, so we got through a lot more questions than I thought. I think we did okay. So we have a little bit of housekeeping. Okay, yeah, so we have a little bit of housekeeping to do. There's one question I do want to read. I think the person's being funny, but maybe not. I'll be honest with you, it disappointed Paul and I, even if you're trying to be funny. So to further shorten eliminations, make a 16-sided die and roll it to determine the winner. That way no time is saved because they just randomly pick the tournament champion. So haha, funny, right? But I think it's not funny to me either, because the intent of going to this is to give a better overall experience to our teams, right? It wasn't to shorten the tournament. It was to eliminate the 3-team alliances because we were eliminating some bad behavior. We wanted to get more teams to have the experience in the elimination matches, so we went to 16. And in order to meet the time, we went to best of 1. As both of our mission and vision statement says, it's not about finding the best robot. So we understand the emotion of this. If you're trying to be funny, I apologize, but we don't think it's funny because we are looking at what we think is for the best 99% of the teams in our program. And Paul's already recognized that maybe the very most competitive 0.1% team does get penalized a little bit by this rule, but we're looking out for the overall program. So that's what I'm going to say on that one. But that was a dour note to make, so let's give away some money so we can end on a happy note.